Is Saturday, September 3rd, 2022. It's my favorite day of the week during my favorite time of the year. It is College Football Saturday. Of course, we're live every day. Generally, the format of the show that we've been doing is we kind of, we all meet here in the middle, and then I bring in everybody one by one. But today, I think we're going to try something a little bit different, closer to our old style, because we tried to figure out an order of who wants to go first, and nobody wanted to leave early. If guys have to leave, they'll just leave. So Ruffalo, I know, has stuff to do, so maybe he'll leave. But, Al McMorty, I believe, is coming later. So we'll figure it all out. We always do. But anyways, College Football Saturday. It is week one, so real college football. We've had college football Thursday and Friday nights. It's been interesting, to say the least. Last night in Indiana, just highway robbery as far as, the game goes. Just absolutely hideous officiating. But, in sports betting, sometimes you're on the right side of those, and sometimes you're on the wrong. It has nothing to do with handicapping or whatever. Just pure finding out, who's on the take and who's not, because there's no other way to figure out that on how 5 questionable calls all go one direction and none of them were right. And that was the difference in the game. There's no other way to explain it. I mean, I would say there has to be an investigation here. Chris?
Yeah, for me, most notably is obviously that touchdown that wasn't called a touchdown that he caught twice. But it's something, like you said, it's just sometimes things that you end up on the right side of. Fortunately for me, I ended up on the wrong side of it yesterday. But we move on, and like you said, I think there will sort of be an investigation. Some of these refs may only have a job for 1 week of the season. We'll have to see how that
sports betting is legal in Indiana. It's a sports betting legal state. And we saw, the ugly side of sports betting in that game yesterday. We saw fumbles that weren't fumbles. We saw touchdowns not ruled that they're touchdowns. I don't watch the games with sound, so I have no idea what those guys were saying. But I know what I saw. And, I think, we watch this, is it a catch? Is it not a catch? All the time, every NFL Sunday. So we all know what a catch is, right? Full possession, ball into the body, football move, right? It has to have all 3 elements to be ruled a catch. But not in Bloomington, Indiana on Friday nights, apparently. It's a different set of rules where the ball can be juggling around on the fingertips, knocked back underneath the arm, and all of a sudden it's a catch. It's like without true possession and without a forward step being taken, or even a foot on the ground with a possession of the football in their hand. I don't see it. I missed it. But anyways, speaking of baseball, Ron Romanelli here doing the rundown through college football season. Ron, you're going to do college football. You're going to switch after baseball regular season ends, maybe switch to a college football rundown. I know you're planning on doing an NFL rundown. We're trying to guilt you into it.
We'll have to see. Obviously, we've still got a couple months of baseball left. Right now, my schedule's a little filled to the brim, but we'll see. I love college football. You guys know I love football, so it's not what I want to do, but we'll see what the plans are for later on.
Our audience loves college football, too, and that's why I'm asking for them, because I know they're asking for it, so I'm asking for it. That's what I do. I play both sides. We all know that. I also can dish it out, but can't take it. That's a whole nother story for another day. Jay Briggs, no, you're more of an NFL guy or a college football guy. Which one is it? Which is what would you say is more your sport?
NFL for sure.
But you still partake in the college football, or are you just kind of
for sure still partake in college football.
Yeah, because I know Rod, Chris, and I, it doesn't take much. You find anything out there, we'll bet on it, It's like, it's
for God's sake, we bet on simulated football.
It's like I have my mic clip here for my lavalier mic. It's like, can this also be used as a regular paper clip? I'll bet you $35 it can. It's like all of a sudden we've got side action. But who's your team for college football?
I like TCU. That was where I wanted to go growing up. SMU is right down the street. Those are really the 2 teams I find myself cheering for.
Well, the Frogs had some issues last night. Starting quarterback finally got the ball rolling in the second half, and the big injury at quarterback in the second half. But it's nice having a veteran backup who can come in and can run the ball like no one's business. And then you bring in the third stringer, and no one can even lay a glove on this guy. So the future looks bright for the Frogs, which is weird, with a first-year head coach there. The first half looked like a team in transition. The second half, it was men against boys. And that Colorado coaching, oh, my God. It's like someone wants to be fired. It's like I want to be fired. Is when you coach like that. It's like basically you're saying I want to be fired. Speaking of wanting to be fired, Al Ninos, how's it going today?
Going great. Still hanging on. Not quite there yet, but
You're more of a pro sports guy. You do college sports, but you're more of a pro sports guy. We know that, and it's okay. Some guys are, some guys aren't. It's just the way of the world. But as far as the college football card today, you hitting it aggressively, or are you taking it kind of slow on this?
I'm actually taking it surprisingly slow, considering I went a little more aggressive earlier, and then today we got the bigger card, and I went really slow today. So interesting. We'll see how that plays out, and definitely won't be this slow next week, that's for sure.
Oh, you haven't bet on sports if you haven't had a college football Saturday where you thoroughly got your ass whipped. But anyways, we got Jovan as well. I know Jovan, one of the better college football handicappers on the planet. You locked and loaded for this season, or are you kind of just dipping the toes in the water to get things started?
Oh, nah, I'm jumping head first into the pool, man. That's what I'm doing. I got 10 out there, so...
That is what I do as well. Wow, this show came up. I did all the stuff on here. Oh man, when I changed the titles on the show, I did not put in the correct thing, so I'll have to edit it here. That stinks. Anyways, so how many picks do you have today?
Yeah, well, for premiums, I got in the premium area, I have 10. Broken down in the two 5-packs and a few single plays. So
I've got 10. I admit it. I got 10. I can't help myself. And I could have gone 20. I could have, I just think, to me, it's like, the first week of the season, I know there's going to be some rough spots in there. Right? And then there's going to be other spots where it's probably fairly easy wins. So it's like, I don't want to miss out on my easy wins. And I know and it kind of helps me offset, some of these ones where, you get, where all of a sudden in Indiana, they decide not to call touchdowns anymore, if they're for the other team. But anyways, Rod Zawacki, you got anything that's flying under the radar today? Like before we even get into the picks, any of these FBS, FCS? I love Sam Houston State today against Texas A&M plus the points. That's mine.
But I like the other way. I think Texas A&M comes to play, and I think they run right over.
Oh, that's why you're not on the morning show anymore. But anyways, I'm kidding. You're foolish and lack vision. But anyways, people are like, "Where's Rod?" That's why, right there. That's why. It's like Texas A&M. It's like gets him every single time. Jimbo Fisher. He's got his Jimbo Fisher picture. Now this guy can coach. No, I think what else? What's up with Richmond this year? So they're 21-point favorites, dogs here to Virginia. Isn't Richmond generally one of the better teams in this FBS stuff?
Usually, but that's a game that's definitely not on my radar. I'm not touching that one. You can have that one. I'm not touching that one. There's plenty of other places I'd rather be than Richmond, Virginia. Football going there for me.
All right. Well, we're gonna do
that would be a coin flip. I'd have to dig more into that one. That's definitely not for me.
Well, we're gonna do family style here. The bookmark's probably not going to be the best that they've ever been, but we'll just try our best. We're going to go through the schedule, and we're going to have to go through in a hurry because I'm not going to sit here for 3 hours going through it. But we'll just go through the early block of games. 12 noon, Maryland, Buffalo, Michigan, Colorado State, Boston College, Rutgers, App State against North Carolina. This is an odd bird, right? You've got East Carolina against NC State. I mean, you want to be laying 12.5 points against East Carolina at East Carolina. Good luck to you on that one. Sam Houston State getting 31.5 against Texas A&M, and Richmond getting 21.5 against Virginia. Got the early. So that's it for the early, and then up to 2:30, UCLA Bowling Green. Ruffalo, you want to talk about any of those games?
Well, a couple quickly. I like, when we didn't mention for the FCS, FBS, I like South Dakota State against Iowa. I think just not impressed with Iowa, and I think South Dakota State, one of the FCS powers, could come in and maybe surprise them a little bit here. But I do like the over between Colorado State and Michigan. But Michigan gets a ton of offensive talent back. They're going to have to rebuild a little bit on defense. In Colorado State, Jay Norville brought a ton of top Nevada guys to Colorado Springs. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think we get closer to 70 points in that one. I like the over between Colorado and Michigan State.
Romanelli, any of these just make you want to breakdance?
Not quite, but I lean towards Maryland laying the points. That was actually a game I was looking at. I'm just not in love with this Buffalo defense, and I do think that the Maryland offense is going to be really potent this year. So I think Maryland scores 40-plus points, and I think it's enough for a cover.
I think they score 40-plus points. I'm with you with that on that one. But don't you think it's similar to that Oklahoma State game against Central Mich, where it's like you have a defense that's got 4 defensive coordinators in the last 4 years, and not because they went on to take head coaching jobs somewhere else, right? I mean, this is a very bad defense, very bad. Against the good teams, I mean, they're good for 50 to 60 that they've been giving up against the good teams. In the 40 to 60 range is what they give up.
I just don't think Buffalo has that same kind of offense as Central Michigan.
So you're trying to say that without Van Trees, you just don't see it going.
Yeah, that's the big loss. They improved with that move, but I still don't love their offense.
Jay Briggs, what do you think of this time slot?
First block, I was looking at that Maryland game as well, and I was leaning Maryland too.
I'm on the other side. I don't know.
Yeah, I was looking at Maryland in this one. I trust no longer can we refer to him as Tua's little brother. You know what I'm saying? I think he comes out there and rings him up today. And that Buffalo defense, like Ron was saying, was terrible last year. And I think they give it up today. And I think Maryland on the other side there, like we know, like you said, their defense is terrible as well. But I think that
the technical term is straight ass. That's the term that our audience relates to. But, Rod's like, I wanted to say that.
I just don't think Buffalo has that offense to push that defense like that. So I'm gonna lay those points with Maryland.
All right.
I was looking at him.
Al Ninos, anything in the early time slot to get the ball rolling here?
Yeah, I kind of agree with the guys on Maryland, but I will agree with you, Mitch, on East Carolina. I think that's a good dog in the slot right here. So getting 12 points with them looks pretty good here.
How about you, Jovan?
Yeah, I'm gonna give the nod to BC. It's a lean just because of that hook. That's 7.5 right now, but it's hard because Greg Schiano, he's going to bring a good defense to the table. Last year played a couple good teams tough, so you always have to tread lightly when it comes to Rutgers Greg Schiano led defense. But I think that BC should be able to pull away in the second half. So I'll roll with the BC Eagles.
Yeah. How about you, Rod? You off to another hot start to college football. You closed out last year really strong, really hot start this year. What do you got?
For me in this one, I'm going to go the other way. I like Buffalo. I think there's just too many points for. We've seen offenses come out and start the season slow, and take time to gel and get things moving and rolling. And to cover 24 points against Buffalo, just too many. I like Buffalo there plus the points. I think it's closer than 24. And I like the under in Rutgers and BC. We know both teams can play defense, and I think we're going to have a grind out slobber knocker type game there where the defenses are way ahead of the offenses on both sides of the ball there. And you'll look if you look at Rutgers, 9-0 to the under in their last 9 versus the ACC. On the other side of the ball, Boston College 6-0 to the under. I like the under. Rutgers, Boston College, low scoring slobber knocker one on our hands in that one. So love those two there.
I think that for me, I struggle in that Buffalo Maryland game because I do think Maryland's going to score a ton of points, and I think they're going to score them in a hurry. But I think at 24.5, you leave that back door way wide open, and this is why we keep Rod around, to agree with me on games like this. And then, of course, on the other side, I like North Carolina against App State. I've totally gone a 180 on this game. I thought at first, after watching North Carolina just absolutely struggle last week against Florida A&M, now we got a public dog here in App State. I mean, that's basically what's happened here. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. And they always have good running backs, and, they won their conference. These guys are good, They're not like a novelty act that, they beat Michigan, 25 years ago. So, we're still going to give them respect on that. No, they continue to play good. They continue to play really strong defense. They run the football well and play good defense. And that's how you win football games, right? But the thing is that North Carolina, Mac Brown, can really work the living room. I know they looked terrible last week against Florida A&M. They were hideous, and they lost the Battle of the Bands at halftime too. But the thing is that I think the Heels are a better team than what we saw last week, and I think in a game like that and a coach like Mac Brown, I think he uses that to probably let's just say it was probably a pretty tough week of practice at Chapel Hill. I'm going to say that, and I think they come out here, and I think they. I think the Heels play a lot better. I think East Carolina against NC State is gift wrapped. It's absolutely gift wrapped. 12.5 points at East Carolina. I've been on the internet for a long time, man. These guys have a super strong and solid fan base. Man, they're going to be out in droves for this thing. They are way underestimated. They do not like to be disrespected. They did it with much. The last two seasons, every time their quarterback walked on the field, it was like, oh man, not this guy. It was like, I remember last year doing the show with Rod, and it was like I couldn't believe they still had that guy at quarterback. It was like the same guy. It's like, no, not this guy again. It's like, how could I get stuck in this, going down that same road with Aaron's quarterback again? It was like, oh my God. It's like, how did I even get sucked into that thing? Anyways, I also think Bowling Green's got a crack at UCLA for the outright in that one to get into 23.5. I think they also could possibly beat them outright. Anyways, we go to 3:30. The feature game, Miami, Bethune-Cookman, 49.5 points in that thing. We've got Wyoming and Tulsa, Arkansas, Cincinnati. This is an interesting one. Rod picked Arkansas about a month ago in this game, and we've been pretty much at it ever since. UTSA taking on Houston. UTSA, 12 wins last season for the Roadrunners. San Diego State against Arizona. San Diego State loves to spot the other team a touchdown or two to start the game. We'll see if that works, how that strategy works out for them today against Arizona. Georgia against Oregon. Georgia, the king of the under. And then you have Georgia's defensive coordinator as the head coach of Oregon this year. Georgia's defensive coordinator from last year. Makes it interesting. Oklahoma against UTEP. No one loves to beat up on the crappy teams more than the Sooners at home. Be some ass slapping going on in that thing. Crimson and cream. Is that what it is? Garnet and or whatever it's called. Whatever they are. South Florida BYU. This is a good one. Two teams that return everybody. Ole Miss, Troy. That's it. Go to the 3:30, 4 o'clock games. Chris, I kind of overviewed everything there for you. What do you like?
Well, the ones I like the most, I like San Diego State laying the points. I know they do usually like to spot the opponent some points, but I like this Aztec defense, and they played really well last season with subpar quarterback play, and now they get Braxton Burmeister in, hometown kid, and he's definitely a step up from what they've had in recent years. So I think San Diego State can win by at least a touchdown in that one. I also like the under in Oregon, Georgia. And like you said, former Georgia defensive coordinator, now head coach of Oregon. I think he's going to help the defense sort of build up there. And while Georgia lost a lot of guys to the NFL on the defensive end, still dealt with that last year and managed to put out a defense that allowed just 10 points per game. So I like the under there. And I also would take a shot at USF money line. BYU's 1-7 all-time program history in games in Florida, so take a shot with the Bulls in that one.
Every time people say they lost a lot of guys, I always think of Airplane. You know, we lost a lot of good men out there. Macho Grande. It's like they cut back. It's like the guy's like hanging himself. Listen to the story. Ron, what do you think? It's a pretty good slot.
Yeah, I like that little sprinkle on the money line for USF. I'm going to take them in the points, and I would put a little bit on the money line as well. Both teams returning basically everybody, but I think the difference is USF last season, their offense wasn't too bad in terms of they could run the football, 4 yards per carry, the average, and now they added a quarterback that can actually throw a football on Gary Bohannon from Baylor. He was solid at Baylor and faced a very tough schedule there in the Big 12. Solid touchdown interception ratio. He's a dual threat that can run, so I think he fits in this offense really well. I think USF shows up here, and I think their offense leads them to a cover, so I'll take the points.
What about the 60 to 70 pound per man size differential in the trenches? I think that's where the problem here lies. That's where the problem here lies is the 60 to 70 pound per man size differential in the trenches. I mean, I know USF might even be faster, but I don't know.
I got 65,000 at Raymond James today, so
65,000. BYU is used to playing in, not
in the Florida Heat.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news on this one, but I said BYU is there, and I've been doing this for a long time. These guys are thinking national championship. They go into the season thinking national championship, and this is their last year as an independent. I think it's going to be a tough day to be a South Florida Bull. Jay?
I'm looking at a few games in this time slot. I'm looking at Wyoming plus the 6.5. They got embarrassed last week on national television. We seen they at home against Tulsa plus 6.5. I like that home dog. I think they can bounce back a little bit today.
What do you think of the Wyoming uniforms? That mustard yellow and brown combination.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's gonna come back. It's all cyclical. It'll be back. It'll
be back real soon.
It'll be
probably.
back. Yeah, it was huge in the 70s.
I also like UTSA against Houston. Both teams was really good last season. But I think UTSA plays ball control today with that run game those guys have. And I think if Houston does win the game, I see it by a field goal at most. I think that game is going to be real tight. So I want those points in my back pocket. And I'm going to take UTSA in that one also. And then the last one in this time slot, I'm going to lay the points with Arkansas in this time slot. Cincinnati was good last year. We seen them get to the college football playoff. But we know Ritter's now in Atlanta. Some more turnover over there. I think Arkansas is going to be better this year than a lot of people think. I like Arkansas this year. I think they win by a touchdown today and take care of Cincinnati.
They say that every freaking year about Arkansas. They say it every stinking year. Yeah, the only thing that I like about Arkansas, the one thing, the saving grace for the Hogs this year, is they got the wide receiver that transferred out of Oklahoma. The guy that they got, that receiver that transferred from Oklahoma, I follow so many guys. I'm sure there's a guy out there that knows this guy's name. This guy is potentially the best receiver in the nation. He's that good. I know he had trouble cracking Oklahoma, all that other stuff. But this guy, when he was recruited, like A.J. Green was recruited. It was like a Julio Jones recruitment. It was like everybody in the world wanted this guy. They came from the woodwork. It's rare that you see receivers that are recruited like this guy was. And we'll have to find out his name and talk more about him. Al Ninos usually knows these things. Al?
Yeah, I like quite a few dogs in this slot. My favorite will probably have to be... that's tough. Shoot. I don't know. I kind of have a small lean towards all these dogs, honestly. And I don't love any of them. I think lines are pretty straight. Like Cincinnati, I would rather get the 7, obviously, but I'll still take the points with them, and same can be said for Arizona.
Jadon Haselwood was the number 1 ranked receiver in 2019 in the 2019 class. I'm telling you, everybody wanted this guy. Everybody. And normally, when the guy's ranked that high at wide receiver, normally these guys usually pan out. I'm telling you, this guy is really, really good. If I was them, I would do the same thing that Missouri does with number 3. Just give him the ball every freaking play. That's what I would do if I was Missouri. Anyways, speaking of number 3. Jovan, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to look at this Bethune-Cookman Miami game. I think this one stays just under the total. Of course, Miami could get whatever they want, but I think it'll be a situation where in the second half, after they have a comfortable lead, they just pump the brakes and, coast, just hand it off. And, they might break some open, for a long game, a touchdown or whatever, but I think that's just how it goes. It'll just stay just under the total.
I think it's going to be an interesting game because Miami actually has a few quarterbacks that are really, really good that are further down the depth chart because Van Dyke is the guy that kind of, took over last year. But, I'm a Kane guy. You can see I got all my Kane stuff here. I'm a Kane guy. And this Jake Garcia is supposed to be unbelievable too. And this Ja'Cory Brown that they just recruited, the freshman, he's supposed to be unbelievable also. So the future is certainly bright. And, of course, Miami, this could be a big year. But I think it's a big, I don't like to get too far ahead of myself because then I start talking national championship. But anyways, Rod, what do you got for me? I know that you like the Hogs, but that's.
I love the Hogs here.
I know.
You look
I
know. I love Arkansas here. I think they're just going to run the ball right down the throat of Cincinnati. Cincinnati, their defense was gutted from last season. They're ranked 115th in the nation in returning production on that defense. They're going to be in for a long day. Last time we saw the Hogs, they just went running wild, and they're going to hand the ball off and do the same. Run right at Cincinnati, and I don't know. Cincinnati's one of those teams, they lost a lot, and can they get some guys back? Sure, they can get some guys back. I just don't see it here.
So you're saying the Bearcats don't reload? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, they don't reload like Alabama does. Well, this will be the first time we'll actually see it, but are they like Alabama that can reload and get everybody back in there? I just don't see it.
But they haven't just been good, for one season. They've been good for 15, 20 years at this point, Cincinnati.
I just don't see them reloading.
Look at their coaches. Look at the coaches that they've had. Mark D'Antonio got the Michigan State job. Then Brian Kelly, he got the Notre Dame job. Butch Jones got the Tennessee job. Then you had Tommy Tuberville and Luke Fickell. I mean, he was the Ohio State head coach on the interim basis, and he's such a good coach that even though he did not fare well as the interim head coach, they rehired him as the defensive coordinator and kept him on the staff. That never happens. I mean, I don't know. I think Cincinnati, this is why they're good. They always play with the chip on their shoulder. They got the chip.
Well, because you got to, right? So that's the only way they can get somewhere. But I just don't see it today. I think they're in trouble. I think it takes a little bit for them to get rolling. And
don't send me to Fayetteville. Not Fayetteville. You'll be sent to Fayetteville immediately.
And the other one in this spot, just like we said, with BYU and USF, I think we could get to 100 points in this game. I like the over in that one. We know both offenses returning a lot, and we're going to see scoring plenty. I think it'll be the Matador defense going on both sides in that one. As both teams can easily put the ball in the end zone, I think we see a lot. We could be still talking about that game tomorrow on how many points they're going to score. So give me the over BYU, USF.
Taking Oregon in the points against Georgia. I think they got a shot here, Adam. I think they certainly have a crack. You want to talk about a team that lost everybody. All they have left is the worst guy, who's the quarterback. He was only give me Pickens and Cook and all these other guys. I'll tell you what, I could probably steer the ship there too. And that defense, give me, a 10-yard field to work on all day. But I know Kirby Smart, the cupboard, certainly not bare there at Georgia. But at the same time, this is an Oregon team that went into Columbus last year and absolutely knocked the crap out of Ohio State. I mean, it was a fight, they would have stopped it. I know that the Bucks, scored some points on the Ducks in that game, but every time Ohio State scored, Oregon went down and scored way, way easier. Every time they touched the ball, it was a touchdown. And we know that Oregon has that type of capability. Plus, you have a defensive head coach now at Oregon, and a guy who certainly knows the Georgia Bulldogs. He certainly knows Kirby Smart, very well. He knows the Kirby Smart defense. I think that Oregon's going to surprise some people here. I'm going to put a little bit on the money line here on the Ducks, and I'm going to take the Ducks plus the points as well in this spot.
You believe Bo Nix today?
I don't think that Bo Nix is going to be the answer to the question, because he's not up against much here, and that's the difference, is that on the other side at quarterback, you don't have a guy that's like a stud superstar, NFL first round draft choice quarterback. You have a guy that manages the game. So Bo Nix doesn't beat himself, and he's played in plenty of big games against plenty of good teams, including Georgia. He certainly has the experience against these guys, so he's not going to see anything especially from this Georgia team, that he hasn't seen before, because he has had a ton of experience, and all of it in the SEC. Not all of it good. It's kind of like the team that returns the 9 starters on defense, but they are ranked 138th in the country. It's like, that sort of thing. But I think that, Bo Nix certainly, this could be his revenge game. It's kind of like when Brock Berlin played for Miami against Florida. He had a horrible career. He was a huge disappointment. He had a monster game against Florida, and, it was kind of his whole thing. I don't know. I like the Ducks here. I like what all I can think about is all those touchdowns they scored on Ohio State last year. It lit them up like a Christmas tree.
I was just wondering, because Bo Nix, at Auburn was
terrible. So Rod, would you like to take the words out of my mouth on this one? Go straight ahead. Straight ass.
Straight ass.
The straight ass.
Was Bo Nix. Bo Nix. Bo Nix is taking the field. Straight ass.
Straight ass. It's like it's kind of like when the Giants put in Rodgers out of the bullpen. It's like they don't want to win today. When they put Rodgers in from the bullpen, the Giants, it's like, here's a team that just clearly doesn't want to win today. It's like, why do you do it?
Like the Mets and Familia. Here comes Familia.
Oh, God. That guy. It's like, even when they did win, how many run lines did he blow for us? It's like up by 2, gives up the 1-run blast, into the upper decks.
Right? Not Familia. Oh.
I still have to say that pitch that Diaz threw the other day was one of the best fastballs you'll ever see. I'm sure there'll come a day and age where they're throwing 110. I'm sure it will happen. When you see a guy get a bad call on a 100-mile pitch and then just rear back and throw 103 straight down the middle, there's something to be said about that. Really one of the best pitches you'll ever see. Anyways, we go to our next slot of games. Chris, what are you selling today? Got anything for sale at Pick Dogs? We got a discount code, WIN15.
Yeah, I got a fair bit for sale today. I got my $15 platinum pick for college football. And that's
how much is that?
I think it's $15.
All right.
I got that for $15. That $15 play also part of my early action college football 3-pack. Got a Saturday Slam 3-pack in college football for the later action, and also like always, we got the $15 pick-off play for MLB, and that's part of my MLB 3-pack today as well. And like Mitch said, use that promo code WIN15.
Ron, how about you?
Yep. I got a college football 3-pack, and I got my Ron's Rundown MLB Best Bet $15 play.
Jay Briggs.
Yeah, I have my $15 best bet up there. I also have a college football 3-pack, and I made my college football best bet $20 today. So hop on that.
Big spender. Use the discount code WIN15. You don't have to pay that $20 that Briggs is charging. You'll be paying $17. The audacity of charging 20. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably worth on other sites they're charging 60. Al Ninos, what do you got for worse? And if they're charging, remember all daily picks and daily packages come with the credit guarantee. If the picks don't win, you get a credit back. And on a day like today, if you buy early packs and they don't win, you'll get credits. You can use it for picks later on in the day. So, do what I like to do when I'm not having a good day, and that's chase.
I think we've all been guilty of that.
Well, I'm not on some of these other shows. They have strict bankroll discipline.
Of course.
Sounds like a real boring day. It's like, why bother? if I can't chase, it's like if I got $6 left at the track, am I putting it at $6 to win on the favorite, or am I boxing 3 horses for the try? I mean, that's what I'm doing. This is what I do. I'm not going to apologize for it either. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. I'm just going to say, it works for me.
Give me the 3, 4, 6 in the 8th rate.
Yeah,
box them
up. Dollar try box. Dollar try box. Would you like anything else? Yes, I would, but I don't have any more money. Oh man, who are we on, Al? Ninos, did you go?
Yeah, I got a 3-pack with 2 MLB and just 1 college football. I said went light today on the college football, surprisingly light, but I like this play a lot, and I like my baseball too. So check that out. Or get a long-term pass, 2-for-1 capper specials.
The long-term pass. This is where you really pay off because you get the 2-for-1 cappers because you get tons of picks, and next week NFL starts. Next Sunday we'll be talking NFL football. So Thursday starts, but I mean next Sunday will be. So it'll be like next Saturday full college football. Next Sunday full NFL schedule. You have a month of picks. You end up paying like 10 cents a pick or something. Anyways, Jovan, what do you got?
Yeah, I got a Saturday shootout, high noon 5-pack, and also have another 5-pack into the night 5-pack where those are the 3:30 to 7:30 or into the rest of the night games for college football. So one just strictly a noon 5-pack. I love the noontime slot, to tell you the truth, but I also have some single plays with that, mixed in. So, check it out. No baseball for me. So,
how about you, Rod? What do you got today?
As we're going today, I'm just like everybody else. I'm diving in head first and not playing or lighting. I found lots of action to jump aboard today. I got my 10-star college football executive info play. You can grab it singly for $15 over at Pick Dogs Premium, or you can grab my college football early Saturday triple, and you can get that 10-star college football executive info play included in that early triple. Or I've got a 3-pack at night, stellar Saturday night triple for action in the night games. And I got a lone play in the MLB. One play I got over there at Pick Dogs Premium for $15. My 10-star MLB bookie buster of the day. Or grab something long term. There's a couple bonus plays for long term subscribers in there as well. I got 8 plays in total on college football today, and 1 MLB. So jump aboard. Let's make some money.
Nice. We're joined by Al McMorty, who probably is wondering what's going on in the show because what happened was we tried to come up with an order of the show as to who's going to go first and who's going to go last, and everybody wanted to go last. So we just decided to go back to the old format and hang out and talk college football for a couple hours. That's pretty much what happened. But what do you have going on today? And do you have any opinions on any of the games between 12 Eastern time and 4 p.m. Eastern time? Because those are the ones we've already gone over.
I don't know. I don't see the times of the games. I'm sure I've got opinion. The games I've got opinions on, I'm selling. So I've got 7 games for sale today in college football. I've got 1 play in baseball today. So 8 plays up at the Pick Dogs Premium right now for me. Yesterday we cashed the Blue Jays -1.5 runs.
So do you have a premium on App State, North Carolina?
I don't.
All right, so I had a question for you. What do you think about this situation here? Do you think we have a public dog?
Well, my thought was I liked App State until they moved to be a favorite, and then I was off the game.
Yep, I think that's exactly the way I felt about it. I thought, looking in the way, I know you handicap differently than I do, and we all have our own things, but I'm a watcher, and last week North Carolina looked to have a lot of holes, and then you look at the line movement and everything else, and all of a sudden it's like, you know what, Mac Brown still can coach, and North Carolina still has a ton of players, and this guy can evaluate talent like no one's business. Any guy that can recruit Julius Peppers, man, he seriously knows what he's doing. It's in my book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, North Carolina fell into some negative situations. If they would have been, an early season road favorite, price from pick to -10. But the fact that now that they're a dog, I've got nothing on the game right now.
It's Mac Brown has recruited two of the best college football players of all time, on both sides of the ball, Vince Young and Julius Peppers. He's had both of those guys. So I'm sure he's got some other pretty good players on this roster. But we go to the next. Oh, I got one baseball play like Rod. Same thing. We don't want to abandon our baseball just because, just because we have friends that we like better here, But we have one Major League Baseball play, and then I have my college football big play, and then I've got early 3-pack, and I've got a late night 3-pack. So, I also have an eye opener game of one game that comes out right out of the gate, Spit and Fire, and it's not Sam Houston State, but I do think they show Texas A&M how the game is played. What's his name? What's his name? That running back. He's really, really good, man. That Sam Houston State has. He is really good. Sam Houston State running back, Dez.
Desmond Jackson?
Yes. Really good. He is really good. Like NFL good. Like as good as any running back. What did he have? Oklahoma State, he had the 3 touchdowns, but it was in the one of the biggest games of the year, right? Big 12 newcomer of the year, right? It's one of those guys. All right. Anyways, we go to the next set of games. Go Sam Houston. Got Nevada, Texas State. This is another same type of situation as the App State, North Carolina, but more under the radar of this. Texas State's got the new quarterback, and he's, they always have some quarterback that's supposed to be really good, and then he puts on that Texas State uniform, and it's always a different story. We got Ohio against Florida Atlantic. James Madison plays their first game as an FBS school. We've got USC versus Rice. New head coach there for USC, but unfortunately he brings his defensive coordinator from Oklahoma there to show them what Swiss cheese looks like. And then you've got, we'll go to the 7 o'clock games too. We've got Tulane taking on UMass. This is not the sexiest game on the board, but it pays the same as that Ohio State Notre Dame game, if you bet it. We've got Florida, Utah, Kentucky against Miami of Ohio, 5.5-point line drop in that thing. We've got Army versus Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss Liberty. Ruffalo, any of these jump off the page at you?
Yeah, well, I will have to take off after this slot, but the one I do like for this time slot, I like the over 51.5 Utah, Florida. I think two teams. A lot of people are hyping up Utah to be the team to beat in the Pac-12 this season. They got some solid quarterback play with Cam Rising. But I also think that Florida's got some offensive pop as well. Anthony Richardson leading the charge there, a dual-threat quarterback. I think this is a game that finished closer to 55, 60 points than the 51.5 that we're at right now. Maybe, a 31-24 kind of game, whichever way you have it going. So give me the over 51.5 in that one.
Any of the late games you want to talk about before we show you the door?
The ones I'll hit on quickly. I like South Carolina laying the points against Georgia State. I know adding Spencer Rattler, I think he just makes an already decent South Carolina offense better, and I just think they win this one by 2 scores. I don't think they.
How does Spencer Rattler make an offense better? I would love to hear the logic.
Step up from what they had last year with Luke Doty. I think he's
how is he a step up from anything? He's terrible.
He knows how to lead. He knows how to lead a high-powered offense. So he had 40 touchdowns and just 12 interceptions in his career at Oklahoma.
Yeah, give me those wide receivers, and again in that schedule, and I think I could probably do the same.
I like the under between Boise State and Oregon State. I just expect that to be a low-scoring battle in the trenches. Both teams stay in the 20s, and it's just a hard-fought victory, whichever way it ends up going.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris.
All right.
Appreciate you taking the time out on your Saturday. Romanelli, go back to our other slot, 7 p.m. Eastern time and earlier. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to be joining Ruffalo at the beach. We're going to the beach together today. But I'm going to take Utah State plus 42 points against Alabama. To me, Utah State obviously was a little bit underwhelming against UConn, but I still think that this is just way too many points. Alabama they had a fantastic year last year, just came a little bit short, but they played FCS Mercer and didn't even cover a 42-point spread. And I think Utah State's got to be one of the better teams in the Mountain West, one of the better offenses and solid offensive line, a good back in Logan Bonner. So they don't have to do much to cover a 42-point spread. Alabama's going to win this game convincingly, but 42 points I think is just a little bit too much. But I don't think the 28.5 points that Tulane's laying is enough. I actually like Tulane laying the lumber in that game. UMass has just been miserable as a road dog. They don't play well on the road at all. I don't see enough change in this program for me to think it's going to be a big difference this year either. So Tulane's not my favorite team to back, laying 24 touchdowns plus, but I don't think UMass shows up in this game on either side of the ball. So give me Tulane laying a boatload of points.
UMass is straight ass.
You know it. Good luck, everybody.
Jay Briggs, what do you got?
I'm looking at Coastal Carolina against Army. I think they do it to them at home today. I think they can win at home today. It's just a lean in that game. I don't think Army in that run game is going to be able to get it done in Coastal Carolina, who's always an underrated team, in my opinion. So I like Coastal Carolina in that one. I'm also going to lean with SMU to lay the points against North Texas today. SMU was pretty good last year, pretty decent. I know they returned a lot of pieces this year. High expectations for them this year. I think they win by 2 touchdowns against North Texas today. Those are the 2 games I like in this time slot.
Rhett Lashley taking over as head coach for SMU, so going to be a lot of possessions in that game. Big Al, they moved you to the top row. I didn't touch anything. It just defaulted there when Ron and Chris departed, so you're up next. You like anything in the slot?
The 2 leans, with a gun to my head, I alluded to it in the North Carolina App State, but one of the things I look at would be going against a game 2 road favorite in certain situations, and that would be Florida Atlantic here. They're laying 4.5 points at Ohio, so I would look at taking Ohio plus the points against Florida Atlantic. And the other thing that I would lean to, doesn't quite fall into my better system, but USC. One of the things I like to do early in the season is take really bad teams from the previous year when they're laying a lot of points. Of course, that's USC. They had a 333 win percentage last year. Now they're laying 32.5 points. I would much prefer to be laying, in the 11.5 to 27.5 point range. But, if I, again, with the gun to my head, I would look at USC here. It's just probably slightly too high for my taste.
Yeah, USC for me is a team that we're probably going to get a lot of value betting against this season because of Lincoln Riley and all the hoopla. But when you bring your defensive coordinator over, who is just absolutely horrible, you're going to give up a ton of points. And USC's had trouble on defense anyway for years, and most of the guys that transferred in were on offense. So it's like you have a lot of underachievers there on the defensive side of the ball with a really bad defensive coach. You're going to look bad at times. You're going to look real bad. I've heard USC people talking about them like they're going to make it to the national championship game. They would get 75 hung on them by an Alabama or somebody like that.
Yeah, they got to improve that defense before they do anything.
They got to improve. You got to stop someone at some point. El Niños? You can't stop El Niños, that's for sure. What do you
stop. Did we go into the 7:30 time slot, or did
just
the guys
up to
just
7?
give those picks?
Just up to 7.
So Up to 7. I'll go with Miami, Ohio. As you said, big line move, but I still think as long as we're getting more than 2 touchdowns, I think Miami, Ohio is the right side here. So give me the points in that one.
I think Kentucky in their first 6 games of a season under Stoops is, probably like 54-1 or something. So I don't know. Miami of Ohio, it's kind of underachieved a lot in the recent years. They have Gabbard is back at quarterback, but he was a slow starter last year. It'll be interesting to see how they do. It's an interesting game. Big line drop in that one. Jovan?
Yeah, I'll lean Florida Atlantic. You could make a case for both of these teams. Florida Atlantic played last week, so they have a book on them that Ohio's probably dissected. They have a good defense, Ohio does, but the offense, I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep pace. And I like the better at 2.5 than 4.5. That's for damn sure. So it's just a lean at this point with Florida Atlantic.
I think we should do maybe Big Al probably could get us this number next week. How teams do in the following 5 years after Frank Solich is no longer the head coach, and I'll just say. Looking at Ohio last year and looking at Nebraska, the last 15 years after he left there, it's usually not a very pretty picture. But Ohio does return the quarterback and the running back there, so at least they have something. But a team that once again was not very good last season. Rod,
for me in these ones, I like the under in the Army Coastal Carolina game. I think we got a lower scoring one. We're going to run the ball, and defenses will carry a little more than the offenses in that one. So give me the under 53.5. I see it that one. And the other one I like here, I like Utah. I think Utah's got a solid team, and they're going to come into Gainesville and get themselves a win over the Gators. I'll lay the 1.5, and I think Utah wins by 10 plus over the Gators in that one. Eileen, we're going to get some points because I think the Gators can put some points up as well. I like the over there too, but I like Utah. Watch out for them. I think they're going to be a solid team. I think they can make the playoffs. And the other one I like, just like you guys talked about, USC, I think laying 32.5 points. I think that's too many. I'm going to take Rice. Give me Rice here plus the 32.5. That's got backdoor cover written all over it. So give me Rice plus the 32.5.
Rice. Rod all over the Owls, like white on rice. I'm going to take Elon here against Vanderbilt. Vandy looked pretty good last week against Hawaii, and I think a lot of people probably going to jump on the Commodores based upon that. And that quarterback, man, he's a track star. He's really, really good. But it just seems, well, then why isn't it 37.5? It's like you would think that it should be somewhere in that range. I mean, they beat an FBS school by 150 last week on the road, and we're talking about a 12-hour road trip on the flight through 5-6 time zones. And here they are at home against Elon. It's only 18.5 points. That looks fishy to me. I don't know. Call me crazy. I've lost worse bets than that. That's for sure. So I will take a shot on that one, and I think that's about it on those for me. Maybe James Madison. I think I like James Madison at home, laying the 4.5 against Middle Tennessee. First game as an FBS team for the Dukes. We go to our next slot. It's Alabama, Utah State. It is North Texas, SMU. I think we talked about this a little bit. Mississippi State versus Memphis. South Carolina, Georgia State. Spencer Rattler discussion is open. The floor is open for Spencer Rattler. We've got Ohio State against Notre Dame. We got Syracuse versus Louisville. We've got Texas versus Louisiana Monroe. We got Oregon State versus Boise State. Washington versus Kent State, and Hawaii versus Western Kentucky. There are some real interesting games here. A lot of question marks in these late games. It's going to be a late night for a lot of people, and not necessarily because of that Notre Dame-Ohio State game. I think a lot of these other games, real interesting stuff going on here. Al, what do you think? Big Al?
Oh, big! I have to see which one. Yeah, the one game that stands out to me that I think is most interesting would be the Washington Huskies. On the drive-through show earlier in the week, again, I think I alluded to it here a few minutes ago. I like taking teams that were, really bad the previous year when they're laying a lot of points. And, there's also different ways to approach this. You can also look at, the differential last year of win percentage and, if you can take a team that has a win percentage differential the previous season of negative 0.1 or, like 10% worse than their opponent. So a team that's, 600 playing a 700 team from the previous year, they'd have a 100, percentage point worse differential. When you get those teams that are favored by 14 or more points in a game one situation, they cover the spread 67% of the time. We saw that last week in the Illinois-Wyoming game. Illinois had a 416 win percentage, and Wyoming was a 538 win percentage the previous year. Illinois was favored by 14 points. They blew out the Cowboys 38-6. Washington last year was 333. Kent State was 500, so you have a 166 differential. Now, they're favored by 23 points. I'm going to lay the 23 points.
All right. Jay Briggs.
This time slot, I think we talked about this one a little earlier. I'm gonna take the points with Utah State against Alabama. I think everybody is gonna be on Alabama. Everybody loves Alabama. Everybody's gonna ride that 42, but I just don't think that Utah State is that bad to get beat by 42 on opening weekend. I could see maybe 35, maybe 42 is a lot to swallow, especially on opening weekend, especially for Alabama. A public team like that. I'm gonna take my luck with Utah State. Let's see what else I like here. I like I'm a ride with Spencer Rattler in South Carolina today. I think he tries to make a statement. Got put out of Oklahoma. I know Mitch don't like Rattler, but I like Rattler. I actually was watching that TV show of him before he even got to college. And I liked him then. I think he still has some good game in him. We thought pretty high of him last year. We thought he maybe could have won the Heisman. It didn't really work out for him. At South Carolina, I think he does some good stuff, and I see them winning by 2 touchdowns here today against Georgia State.
On our show, we had him listed as the most overrated player in the country. Rod and I think, pounded him before the season started, and we were relentless until the day they transferred. But I think, and I'm still in that same camp. I still think that he could be one of these guys because he has some eligibility left that he could transfer again after this season when he loses the starting job here at South Carolina. I could see him going to Nicholls State or something. I could see him ending up being one of those guys because he certainly seems to me like he is. I think we should take bets whether who transfers out first. Does Spencer Rattler transfer out of South Carolina or Arch Manning out of Texas? Because, both those are givens, right? Arch Manning is going to transfer out of Texas so fast. He's going to use the excuse that Steve Sarkisian is fired, right, as the excuse to get out of there. But it's like, why would you go there in the first place? Because you feel like losing a lot? It just doesn't even make any sense.
He's going to bring us back, man. He's going to bring us back.
He's not bringing – he's going to Ole Miss. He's going to Ole Miss. Trust me. He guaranteed. Just write it in. He's going to Ole Miss, and it's probably going to be next season.
He should have went there to start it out.
Exactly. Well, I think he just figured he'd have a good time at Texas for a year and then transfer out to Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to do. El Niños.
Yeah, a couple plays I like in this slot here. A lot of points, but I like Ohio State to cover those 16.5. I like Memphis on the other side, similar game, but I'm going to go on the other side, take the dog in this one. I'll take the points with Memphis here. And I like the over in the Bama game and the SMU game as well, the over there.
Rod?
Now, for me in this one, first one, I like North Texas here. This is a revenge game. SMU beat them up last season. New coach Rhett Lashley gets to go for SMU. Also on defensive coordinator Scott Simmons gets the start. So SMU is going to implement the 4-2-5 scheme going, and It's going to take a bit for them to get used to. And we've seen what North Texas returned last on in their receiving or on the defensive side of the ball in that first week. And they looked real good doing it. So I think they've had this one circled as a revenge game to get back at SMU. And you guys ran us over last year, not this year. This is going to be a way closer game, field goal at best if North Texas doesn't outright them. SMU 1-5 ATS their last 6 road games versus teams with winning records. SMU 1-4 ATS their last 5. They didn't look good finishing the season, did SMU last year. And North Texas, they've been running the ball ever since they switched things up. 7-1 ATS their last 5. Home team 4-1 ATS last 5 meetings. I love North Texas plus the points here today. So give me North Texas in that one. And the other one I like, give me the Beavers here. Everywhere I look, I see everybody's enamored with Boise State, and they lost quite a bit from last season. And I like the Beavers here. Oregon State at home has been solid. 6-2 ATS their last 8 versus Mountain West Conference. And the home team in this series, 4-1 ATS. I like the Beavers here. Give me the Beavers. They win it late. They just the stadium goes ruckus and is loud and obnoxious and just what we love in college football. So I love the Beavers late, and I think they get the win over Boise State. I think they're going to be a little overrated than what people are thinking. Give me the Beavers in that one.
Boise coming off a 7-6 season last year, really below expectations. Andy Avalos' first year as head coach at Boise, but he returns a ton of players, including his quarterback, Hank Bachmeier. And, of course, the running back is back, the guy that was injured a couple of years ago that was just an absolute stud. Be interesting to see if he still has it, if he can come back from the injury or not. But Oregon State, I think that's a really interesting game. Oregon State, the quarterback there returns, but he was a turnover machine, and then you have a Boise defense that forced 23 turnovers a year ago. So there's a lot there, but I agree. Corvallis, typically really, really, really tough place to play on opponents. Going back to the Memphis-Mississippi State game, Memphis, horrible on the road. They haven't covered a road game since the Eisenhower administration at this point. So 5 in a row that they've lost on the road for Memphis. Because I saw that big number too, and I was looking at that. And a game that I missed earlier that I forgot to mention was I like North Dakota against Nebraska on the money line. I think they're going to beat them. Nebraska is just terrible, and I think this is just one of those spots where it's like, why not take a shot at a massive payer? You guys know I love my big paying bet, wild, crazy ones. I'd way rather take this than some 5-team parlay because I think you got a real shot here with North Dakota because no one has fallen flat on their face and been disappointment like Scott Frost and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And if they lose at home to North Dakota, is anybody really shocked in this one? I mean, not North Dakota State. This is North Dakota, so we're really getting some. If it's North Dakota State, they're probably favored in this one. But I like this late card. I agree with a lot of the things that you guys said, and I think that there's some interesting games in here too. I think Louisville-Syracuse is interesting as well. I think we saw Syracuse make some good strides, but at the same time, Louisville has the quarterback coming back, but we've seen a lot of inconsistency out of Cunningham. So, can he go on the road here to the Dome and get it done? Hawaii probably is going to improve against Western Kentucky. I like Hawaii in that one, plus the points. I thought that last week's game against Vandy, that there was a couple key plays there. And once a game, and I think that a lot of people miss this in football, and I think it happens in pro football, it happens in college football. But when a team goes down by more than 10 points, the game plan goes out the window at that point, and it becomes all of a sudden it's like you're into this right. You're pass, and the other team knows you're going to pass. So it's like in soccer when the team goes down like a goal or two, and then they have to press everybody forward. So the defense kind of gets left, hung out to dry out there. And we saw that, I think, with Hawaii. They're going to give Western Kentucky a tough time. I don't think Western looked so great last week, either. So I'm going to take Hawaii plus the points for those who need a late night bailout chase it play. We're not above. I'm not above that.
Yeah,
I know some of the other guys are above it, but I'm not. Personally, Personally, I'm like that last guy in the sports book, clinging to the ticket. Well, we do have Major League Baseball today. Obviously, not going to go as in-depth as we normally do, but we could just look at the 15-game card and say if anybody has anything they want to say about Major League Baseball today, they can say it. Al, what do you think? You got anything going on in Major League Baseball today?
I've got one play for sale today at Pig Ducks Premium in Baseball. As I mentioned, 7 plays in football. As far as free play here, I mean it's hard not to take a look at the Dodgers. I love taking teams as good as the Dodgers when they're off shutout losses, especially, and that's LA. Or when they score 1 run or less, to be more specific. And that's LA. If that blowout loss last night to San Diego, I would look at Julio Urias today against Manea.
Yeah, I like that one a lot because LA also was on the long road trip coming back from New York after a real deflating series. It was like they were just flat. I mean, it's one thing to get beat, but to just be that flat as they were in that game. Jay, how about you? Anything on the Major League Baseball you're looking at today?
Yeah, I have 2 premiums out there today in the baseball, but other than that, I was on the Cardinals yesterday. I think I'm gonna ride them again today. I like the Cardinals. Think they should. I think they'll be okay on the run line. The Twins really let me down yesterday, man. They jumped out to that pretty big lead, that 2-0 lead, man, and let the White Sox come back and get them. I think the White Sox get them again today on the money line. I like that. Let's see.
I like all these picks that you guys have given so far. It's like I'm thinking, like, since I'm really not playing much baseball today, I would actually parlay these with the Mets. I like all those picks that you guys said. It's like a bunch of reasonably sized favorites. I would say, if you're going to parlay them up, you don't even have to bother with the run line. But like Wainwright against Smiley, you got a clear edge there, for the Cards. You've got, I like Max Scherzer against Patrick Corbin. If I can, it's minus 420 is really not in my ballpark, but it is today, if I'm throwing it in a parlay. And then, I like the White Sox to seize too against the Twins because the White Sox are a better team without Tony La Russa anywhere near the field. I mean, this is really, they're just proving the point. He's never going to manage another game for the Chicago White Sox. I mean, he's never going to manage another game. That'll be it.
And the last one I was looking at in baseball, Yankees, I'm fading them. I'm in fade the Yankees mode. Yankees have been like the worst team in baseball since the All-Star break, but they keep getting lines like they're still the best team in baseball. So I'm still in fade them at all costs. I'm taking the Rays again today. They did it yesterday, and I think they do it again today with Kluber on the mound. And that's how I'm looking at baseball today.
How about you, El Niños? Yankees' worst loss of the season last night.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I thought they were a live dog. I mean, anyway. Herman had been pitching well, but, can't always trust him too much. But anyway, and the Yankees have been up and down lately, so mostly down, I think. But I do agree with the Dodgers here. A little bit juicy, so, -1 for me. Since they are at home, otherwise it'd be run line on the road. I like the Orioles too, -1. And for a little dog, I would take a little shot on the Rockies. They're looking awful right now. They struggle on the road, but again, Reds aren't anything special either, so I think the Rockies are a little live dog tonight.
Jovan?
Yeah, I look at the Pirates. Rosen Contreras, he's the one that gets them the wins. So I'm gonna roll with the Pirates in that one. You could what you could do with the Mets is you could take that thing to 3.5 on altered run line, push it to 4.5 in my book. But say anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5. Patrick Corbin's on the mound, so you already know what that's about. And yeah, I would say the Dodgers bounce back today. Sean Manaea's on the mound, and going up against Julio Urias. I like Urias in that matchup, and I expect the Dodgers to get off the schneid and stop this 3-game losing streak. Anything else? No, that's about it.
Rod?
And for me in these ones, how can I'll take Baltimore, lay the run line there. Ossaba's been pitching great. His last 4 starts have been quality starts, and we know they're facing Oakland, and Oakland stinks. Talk about straight ass. We'll take the Orioles there. They're just the better team. And we got Corbin Burns pitching against Madison Baumgartner. I think Milwaukee kicks the snot out of Arizona in that one. I also like Corbin Burns' strikeout total is 6.5. Take the over. You get nice plus money on that. I think he has a solid game here. And I'm going to take the Padres again. I think they got a nice win yesterday. I think they do it again. I'm going to fade your ass in that one. Padres have won 6 straight against the National League. I think they do it again. Give me the Padres. Too much plus money for me to pass. I think Manaea has a solid game as well. Take his strikeout total over too. I think he has a solid one there. Give me the Padres over the Dodgers.
Oh, well, you guys were all talking. I put $200 on the Mets, parlayed with the Cardinals, the Dodgers, the Orioles, and the White Sox. 200 pays $1,259.45. Just to be involved. I'm there. I'm not full. I'm not all in. I'm not all in. I'm not like over committed here, but I'm involved. So there. 5-team parlay. It's a safe, as they say in the YouTube comments, it's a safe 5-team lock.
Guaranteed.
5-team lock. I need an easy 5-team lock. Oh, man. Al, have you gotten any of the easy 5-team lock emails recently?
I haven't. I don't know what though I think I would enjoy reading those emails.
You don't get those?
I don't. But forward it to me. I'd like to see what it looks like.
Well, Al and Jay are going to be doing our NFL football show, putting that together in the next couple of days, figuring it out. And of course, the other guys will come on as guests and spots as well on there. So Al, I'm sure, will be asked for at least a 3-team parlay lock and those. I know Rod will want to be on those shows. I'm sure Jovan will have some NFL to give Al Ninos and everybody else. I'll even probably be on there too. But yeah, I'm excited. We got week 1 college football today. We all have a ton of packages available. We have, you got tons of free picks and, another big season at Pick Dogs. You guys know it's my favorite day of the week during my favorite time of year. I say that, at the beginning of every Saturday video and that we do. And, my first website on the internet was College Football Place. We only covered college football. So, yeah, really excited to do it here. But any parlays from anyone else? I've got my 5-teamer I put out there for you guys. And, 200 pays $1,259.45, which actually isn't a great payout, for a 5-team parlay lock.
All right. Yeah, I'll shoot y'all guys one. Take the Rays on the money line. Take the Cardinals on the money line.
It could be college football too. You could have all.
Yeah, Rays, Cardinals, and take SMU on the money line. 3-team parlay.
All right. El Ninos.
Can we do a baseball and college football, 2 separate parlays?
Sure. Sure. You could go Elon with Sam Houston State and Richmond if you like. I like all 3 of those.
I'd go Dodgers or Orioles, Mets. It's an ugly parlay, but whatever. And
$5 pays you $3.28.
$3. Yeah, no. I think it's probably a little better than even money there. But on college football, I'd go Ohio State. I'd go Boise money line, and I would go. What was the last one? Sorry. Shoot. I'll stick with those 2.
All right.
Greece on the money line in FIBA.
There it is. Greece on the money line. Jovan, a little grease on the money line for you there. throw it in as a kicker on the parlay.
Sorry.
Let's see. BC. We're going to take BC. We're going to take Bowling Green. And we're going to take Boise State on the money line. Oregon State hasn't won their opening day game in the last 5 years, 0-5 in that span. So I'm gonna run with that alone. So that's my 3-teamer, 3 Bs.
Rod, take us
home. We're gonna do Here we go. We're going to take the Rutgers and BC to take that game under the total. We're going to take the Hogs to run over Cincinnati. We're going to take North Texas plus the points. They can keep it close against SMU. We're going to take the Orioles on the run line. And we're going to take the Brewers on the run line. There's a nice 5-teamer lock for you.
All right. I've got my 5-team MLB parlay is, and the dogs are barking. We've got my 5-team MLB parlay is Mets, Cardinals, Dodgers, Orioles, White Sox, and my college football parlay is Sam Houston State, Elon, and Richmond, all plus the points. And you might want to throw a little something on North Dakota on the money line if you can get it. Thanks everyone for joining us. Make it a winning day. We appreciate each and every one of you. Always fun college football season. Of course, next Sunday's NFL season. It's starting, right? It's starting. Make it a winning day. Be safe this Labor Day weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.